It is utter sod's law. During the day, it has been far too hot to video out here. I couldn't video this morning because I had to go and have my second jab, which I'll come on to later on. So I couldn't do it first thing this morning because of that. And during the middle of the day, it was just far too hot and far too bright out here to start thinking about recording videos. So I decided I was going to do it later on in the evening. And I've been sitting just over there for probably the last hour or so, editing and writing scripts, and also having some food. So, and it's been utterly quiet out here, really has been quiet. And I get out here to start videoing, and somebody over there starts revving a car engine, and somebody over there is now using some sort of jet wash, and the kids are out over there. It's utter sod's law, but we will persist. Now, if you've been watching Instagram this week, you will know that this keyboard has arrived. And this is if you ignore the remote control and the pen for the clapperboard that I've got written here, because I've got nowhere else out here to actually put this stuff. This JX-3P has arrived in the goldfish bowl, and of course with everything that arrives in the goldfish bowl there's always a story. And I had a couple of people on Instagram ask me about what happened to the Poly 61 because I said it had departed. And I'll tell you the story because it makes an amusing story, but it's just one of those things and that you have to sort of, things happen, as they say. Actually, the word is something else, but I'm not going to say it on the channel. Anyway, this has arrived, and basically when I returned the 8P to Richard a week ago, he said, would I like to borrow another synthesizer from his collection to make some more videos about? And I, of course, jumped at the chance of having some more different synthesizers to allow me to make some videos. And he said, there's a 3P, he went through a series of synths, and I said, I tell you what, it would be really nice. I don't want the 3P at the moment because I've just done a series of videos on the 8P. What I'd actually really like is, could I borrow his Korg Poly 61? Now, for those who don't know, the Korg Poly 61 was the successor to the Korg Poly 6, and it came out in 1982. So, kind of around the same. In fact, it's the same year as this machine arrived. So I said, could I borrow that? And Richard said, yeah, fine. So I put it in the boot of the car, and I thought to myself, the Korg Poly 61 would be an interesting video to do because it uses the same digital analog hybrid circuitry that this machine and the 8P uses, in terms of the way the signal is controlled is digital, but the actual signal itself is an analog generated signal. So I thought that would be really interesting just to see how the difference between the two happen, and also the Korg Poly 61 was a very simple interface if you compare it to the Korg Poly 6. So I put it in the boot of the car and I drove home. And as I said, this was a week ago, last Sunday. And when I got home, I thought, you know what, I'm not going to dive into this keyboard now. I'm going to, put it on the keyboard stand and leave it for a couple of days while I do some research about what is the Korg Poly 61 and what is the Korg Poly 61 all about. So that's what I thought I'd do, and that's kind of how I sort of proceeded. Little did I know. So this is the part of the video where I do the channel promotion. And it starts with the parish notices. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you like videos about this sort of stuff and any of the other sort of stuff you see on the channel, hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified about when videos hit the channel, that's the bell icon as well. Save yourself some time, hit them both together. If you enjoy the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up, it helps the YouTube algorithm. And please leave comments down below. I do read them, I do respond to them, and sometimes you give me ideas about future content for the channel, which is great. Down there somewhere is the address of the TMGG community, which is where you can sponsor the channel for less than the price of a cup of coffee. Also down there, Instagram, Facebook feeds. If you want to follow the normal shenanigans of the channel, that's where they are posted. But now, back to this video. And little did I know indeed. So to be fair to Richard, when I picked the keyboard up, he said it wasn't his favourite synth. He didn't elaborate why it wasn't his favourite synth, but he said it wasn't his favourite synth, and he had actually put the synth up for sale. But it had been up for sale for quite a few weeks, and he'd had absolutely zero nibbles. And therefore he thought I would be able to sort of have it for a couple of weeks and be able to get into doing videos about it. And funny enough, this weekend would have been the weekend where I spent, you know, quite a few hours doing videos about the Korg Poly 61. That's kind of how I planned to work, was do the research during the week and then film the videos potentially today. Although had I known that it was also going to be so hot today, I probably wouldn't have filmed them during the day anyway. But that's another kettle of fish. Then 2 days after the synth arrived here, Richard rang me up and said, "I'm so sorry, but the synth has sold. The buyer's offered me full price. You know, he's not even tried to negotiate. He's offered me full price and he's paid. Can I have it back?" So Richard popped by the Goldfish Bowl and he picked up the Korg Poly 61 and he dropped off this JX-3P. So basically what I did was, from the moment Richard rang me up and said could he pop by the following evening and pick it up, I got up very early the next morning and shot a load of video about the Korg Poly 61. It was very unstructured. It was all around what research I'd done to that point, so I'm not quite sure how well structured the videos will be when they're eventually put together in post, but I basically just took the opportunity to shoot. You know, sometimes you just have to do that. You just shoot footage and hopefully you can put that footage together in such a way that you actually get something that's usable out the other end. Well, I'm hoping so. So it could be a little bit hit and miss, but watch out for those videos because they will hit the channel. Videos I'm shooting at the moment are probably going to hit the channel in mid-July at the moment. That's kind of the time frame. I've got material that's already on YouTube, already into slots. I'm getting very professional at this whole videoing thing. I've got 4 videos a week literally going out now until nearly the end of July. I'm getting quite professional at this whole sort of video directing and producing malarkey. Shame I'm not so good with the actual bit to camera and I don't get a few more views on YouTube. So, you know, tell your friends, tell your relatives, come and watch me on YouTube. Let's get the viewing figures up. I jest, of course. So this 3P has arrived and I can get some content recorded. I'm probably not going to start recording content until next week. So I've got a few more days of just playing around with this and seeing what I want to video. But just to put this in context, the JX-3P was the first of the JX range that Roland did in the early 80s, 1982 as I said, this thing came out. A number of people have stated on film that the JX-3P was, put my script down there, very Juno-esque in its sound. And I can also tell you that a number of fairly heavyweight session players have also said to film that they have a very different view on this statement. So maybe I can form my very own opinion on this. Now, I've never owned a Juno. I do have the boutique Juno and JX-3P models, so I'm going to go to storage and I'm going to grab those and I'm going to bring them back. So that, as I say, that won't happen until some point in the week. And then I can see how this kind of stacks up against the Juno statement and also stacks up against the boutique. The Jupiter X doesn't have a 3P, but I think the System 8 has a 3P. I think it's the System 8 that's 3P. I can't remember off the top of my head. My mind has completely gone blank, but I think the System 8 has a 3P on it. So I might go and grab that as well and see if we can sort of contrast what the System 8 does to what the actual synthesizer does. The unfortunate thing I've got though is that Richard doesn't have an editor for this, so we're kind of stuck with the stock sounds at the moment. A couple of people have said about the iPad editor, but I don't think I've got a way of getting the iPad to talk to this at the moment. Maybe I'll look into that over the next couple of days and see if I can get something jury-rigged so that the iPad can talk, and then I can go and download the editor and try the iPad editor. One of the things that came out of the 8P videos is the iPad editor can't really be used on this thing real time. It really is a programmer, because it's so sensitive. You just move your finger and all of a sudden you whack up to 99 or down to 0. So that's kind of what I think I'm going to do with this. The other thing I think I need to do is I think I need to go and grab one of my MIDI verbs from the storage unit, because I think this is going to need some sort of effect processing on it. And it's kind of not uncommon for synths of this age to require some sort of effect processing unit, because they didn't come with effects by default. A lot of the synths that came after this started to put effects onto the boards, but this did not have effects on the board. It literally has, I think it might have, it's got chorus, and that's about it. So, if you want to put delays and reverbs on it, I don't think you can put those on here, other than changing the shape of the envelope to get a delay that way or a sustain that way. So, it has arrived. It will be, you will be seeing videos about this thing going forward, so I hope you enjoy them, but here it is. And the final thing I wanted to say this week was, I have had my second jab this morning. Right at the beginning of the video I said I'd had the second jab this morning, which is why I couldn't do any video in first thing this morning. And I said about having the vaccine on a video probably around about 12 weeks ago, I suppose, because that would have been when I had my first jab. And a number of people contacted me about the whole sort of having the jab, and it was personal choice. And I get the whole thing about personal choice, and it was my personal choice to have the jab. And I tell you, I am being utterly selfish about having the jab now, purely because I've just booked a holiday. And one of the criteria for quarantine on the other side was, yes, you have to have a test before you go in, but if you've had both your jabs, so whatever vaccine it was, and I've had the AstraZeneca, but if whatever vaccine you've had, if you had both jabs, when you go in, you don't have to self-quarantine until the results come back, or the 5 days, or whatever it happens to be. That's kind of the rules at the moment. I checked these out before I actually booked, to make sure that I wasn't going to sort of have a problem with money, because most travel insurance now has a COVID exemption written into it. So if your holiday is cancelled because of COVID, you ain't going to get your money back unless the travel company or the airline or whatever it happens to be has given you that COVID guarantee. I'm lucky because British Airways, who I booked flights with, has given me a COVID guarantee, but the hotel will not. On the flip side, I've only paid a deposit with the hotel, so I won't lose a lot of money if I have to. And if you don't go through a travel agent, make sure you use your credit card. So anyway, that's kind of, I've booked a holiday. I'm going away in a few weeks' time. I really need to just go away and recharge, because I'm utterly exhausted for many reasons. So this is a chance just to get away, recharge the batteries to a place I go to frequently, so it's not as if I don't know the place. And maybe we can go a little bit further afield at the end of the year, but where we are now, we can't go anywhere. I think there's too many restrictions for me. When I come back, I'm probably going to have to quarantine. To be honest, that's not an issue because I'm working from home anyway. I can get food delivered, so that's not a massive issue for me in terms of coming back. But I did weigh everything up and I thought to myself, in the grand scheme of things, people will probably say that's the wrong thing to do, John, but in the grand scheme of things, being able to have a couple of weeks of downtime is ultimately what I need at this point in time. So, you know, as I say, I'm prepared to sort of take the consequences when I come back in. If I have to quarantine for whatever it is, 5-10 days, yeah, to be honest, because I work from home, it doesn't bother me. Housemates are coming too, so you know, we're all quarantined together. Hey ho, you know, it's just the easiest way just to get some downtime. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with my normal greeting, which is live long and prosper, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.